Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to D&Z TV, the place that gives you the latest information that you require and you need to make your day going very, very well. At D&Z TV, it's all about information. It's all about first class, handy information that is supposed to keep your minds abreast and keep you updated with what's happening on or in the Ooni of Ife's palace. Now we are having a situation here at hand. Mariam is accusing the Ooni of Ife of not following her to go for IVF, whereas when it was the time for Naomi to go for IVF, the Ooni escorted Naomi and gave him all the support he needed. Now, for those of you who do not know what IVF is, IVF is simply in vitro fertilization, and this is one of the several techniques available to help people with fertility problems to have a baby. During IVF, an egg is removed from the woman's ovaries and fertilized with sperm in a laboratory. The fertilized egg, called an embryo, is then returned to the woman's womb to grow and develop. Wow, it's actually a technical thing. It's actually something that people use as a method that people use to make children. So IVF now is something that it's what was used to bring Tade, has been alleged by Mariam herself. Mariam herself actually said this by herself, that she is not happy with the Ooni of Ife, and that's because the Ooni of Ife escorted Naomi to go for her own IVF surgery, her IVF procedure, which actually now brought Tade. And now that she's been looking for a child for how many years, she does not have a child, So it is actually a technique, and it's a little bit expensive though, but a lot of people who can afford it definitely and always go and afford it. They say, how does IVF get you pregnant? During in vitro fertilization, which is IVF, eggs are removed from immature follicles within an ovary. An egg is fertilized by injecting a single sperm into the egg or mixing the egg with sperm in a petri dish. This is actually how the procedure is being done. And in Nigeria, IVF is actually pretty expensive. Everybody cannot afford it. Only very few people can afford it. Now, a single circle costs as much as 3 million naira to have IVF done, and 2 circles cost as much as 9 million naira, while 3 circles could go for 9,324,000 naira. So these are actually instances or the cost of doing IVF in Nigeria. For the Ooni of Ife, money is never a problem. Money is never an issue. So it's something that makes people to those who have the money can afford it, but those who don't have the money find it difficult to afford it. How long does IVF take to get pregnant? How long does it take to get pregnant? With IVF, one cycle of IVF takes about 2 months. Women younger than age 35 will get pregnant and have a baby with their first IVF eggs retrieval and subsequent embryo transferred about half the time. Now we are going to be looking at the 3 types of IVF. The 3 main approaches to IVF that include no or fewer drugs are natural cycle IVF, meat simulation IVF, and in vitro maturation IVM. Now, do IVF babies look like their parents? The possibility of IVF resembling its mother is thin, as a donor egg doesn't share any of its genes with its intended mother. Nonetheless, if the sperm used is that of a partner, the baby may look like its father. This is simply because both share the same genetic. So now why we are bringing this topic up is that the Mariam is actually not extremely happy with the Ooni, that the Ooni is refusing to help her to get her own child. That in the time of Naomi, it only did not hesitate to go for IVF. And Mariam also said that what beats her imagination is the fact that they tried it twice before Tade now worked. They went for IVF 2 times before it worked, and the Ooni gave her all the support she needed. Now, while you're looking for support from Ooni's spermatozoa is what will actually be collected to now form the baby. So, in a situation or circumstance where Ooni now refuses to make his sperm available, it now becomes a big issue, which means they're now going to be looking for where else to buy eggs from. And those circumstances like that are dangerous, because they could actually go and buy spermatozoa from a thief or a criminal or somebody who has criminal tendencies, and nobody wants to raise up a criminal child in the palace. Now, somebody was now asking, is IVF painful? And the response now is typically no. Most women only experience mild to moderate cramping in the days following the procedure. You will then undergo a scheduled pregnancy test with your fertility team by 9 to 10 days after your embryo transfer. To determine if pregnancy has taken place. You see, when they now carry the man's spermatozoa and the egg from the ovaries, they now put it back into the woman's system, so the woman can now carry her own child until it's time to give birth. Now, somebody now asks, can you ask for twins IVF? The answer is yes. A couple can ask for twins, but the clinic will counsel on the risk. The main risk with IVF is preterm births. Preterm births account for 60% of twin deliveries and bring a host of complications for the babies. At times, if not properly done, it could actually have complications, which nobody really wants to have a complicated child, So, but all in all, Naomi had her own child via IVF. That is as being postulated by Mariam. And why she's having issues now is that the Ooni has refused to escort her to have her own IVF procedure. That also shows the extent of the feeling and love that the Ooni has for Naomi. Now, if Ooni has accepted to go and join Naomi to do an IVF test, and now her turn, nothing has been happening. That is actually the part she does not like, because Ooni is now making it look as if no other person can have a child in the house but just she alone. Alright, beautiful people, it's been another wonderful time with all of you here. I want to say super thank you to all of you, and say we want to appreciate you for coming back to us, and to say let us always keep this conversation going on as we always have fun. Thank you and bye-bye.